right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13, as we are about to get underway for eRacing United's 4 hours of Spa Mini Enduro. This is going to be an event consisting primarily of GT2 and GT3 cars. We are looking at 4 GT2 entries and about 16 to 17 GT2 entries today. Real quick, let's go ahead and look at some of the entries for today's event. Kuroshina is going to be in the 1HOR number 58 KTM for the GT2 category. Tony Monkey is going to be running the Chevy C8 in the GT3 category. VER has an entry with Dr. Ice, and Dr. Ice will be in the number 28 Lexus. Pindaz, who is the event organizer, is going to be representing the McLaren 720S in the GT3 category. TNR Larry B is going to be one of the other KTM GT2 entries. He is anticipated to walk off with the win in the GT2 category. Hanser 1560 is going to be in the number 126 Acura NSX GT3. Amish Gaming is going to be in another McLaren 720S and number 16 entry. GGA Design will be representing the Ford Mustang GT3 camp with the number 44. GGA Flakbus will be in the Porsche 911. Keep an eye on this car, maybe not to win, but maybe to have a significantly problematic accident in the Al Rouge and Radion corners. We'll talk more about that later. OSM Bruce 33 is in the 333 car for the Acura NSX GT3 entry. NDL Cosmic is in the number 20 Acura NSX entry. NFL Racer, we're going to be seeing a lot of him this weekend. He is going to be in 3 of the 4 different events we are broadcasting this weekend. He is going to be in the Dodge Viper, the number 53, sponsored by Barks Root Beer. GGA Roadkill is going to be in another Dodge Viper. For some reason, his paint scheme has not loaded yet, but he is going to be in one of the Vipers. Thomas 086R is going to be in the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 entry. That is me, ignore me. Jabingus is going to be your remaining KTM GT2 entry. We do think there may be one other GT2 entry that should be showing up. Thunder A159 is representing BMW in the number 96. I assume that's the 96, unless there's a paint scheme that is not yet loaded, but he is in the M4 GT3 entry. Nibbles Biscuit is in another Acura NSX entry. PTG Neb, he is another driver we're going to be seeing a lot of today. He is going to be in the number 111 Aston Martin Vantage GT3. And KSR Helios is going to be in the 63 Huracan for today's event. We anticipate that there may be 1 or 2 more drivers showing up. We are unsure. We are unsure of that at this time. Right now, we are waiting on 1 more driver, and that would be Damaged Incorporated, also sometimes known as SDR Dremora. Other than that, everyone is here right now. So for those of you who care, KSR Helios is in the only Lamborghini entry. So if I am understanding the spotter's guide correct, this Lamborghini is the only Lamborghini in the event and is going to be in the GT2 category. So this, I believe, is the GGA Techno Crash team. Yes, is the GGA Techno Crash team, and they're going to be competing directly with the 3 KTMs. There was a AF Corse Guardian Ferrari GT2 entry that qualified but had to pull out of their last moments. We are currently standing by waiting for SDR Dremora to see if Dremora is going to be able to show up. So, for those of you who are not familiar, I had the pleasure to run in this event back when it was a proper 12-hour event, but I had the pleasure of running this event about a year and a half ago in New Year's of 2023 going into 2024. And there's Roast Race, who seems to have joined us now. And there's Dremora. All right, so Dremora is finally coming into the paddock. And it seems like they may have kicked Kuroshine out, but we have got Dremora. But the general organization of the event is going to be as follows. Everyone's going to load onto the circuit. No one's going to move for about 30 seconds. That will give everyone a chance to make sure that everyone can properly see each other. We don't have any weird ghosting issues going on. Once that is done, though, the field will begin to roll in single file, and they will be going around the entire circuit. So for those of you who are not aware, this is one of the biggest circuits in the game. I believe this is the 4th biggest track by length in the game. And they will run the entire circuit at pace speed, so 65 miles an hour. So it will be a very long, feeling very tedious pace lap. They will start doubling up Blanchimont, which is the big sweeper left-hander in Sector 3, and they will stay doubled up. They will not use the start-finish line that you see F1 using on the short pit lane straightaway. There is a start-finish line that is about a third of the way downhill before you get to the Al Rouge corner. And that is the endurance racing start-finish line. That is the start-finish line that this event is going to be utilizing today. So, be aware of that. They are not going to be using the normal start-finish line. They are going to be using an alternate start-finish line. There are 2 stints for today's event. A lot of drivers are doing a double stint, so they're going to run this stint and the second stint right afterwards. But there are going to be, I believe, 4 teams that are looking to split overall between 2 different drivers. There are only 2 drivers, or only 2 stints throughout the event today. Okay, real quickly, as we've still not gotten a word on what's going on with Old Goodwrench there. But Dremora is one of the other Chevrolet GT3 entries for today's event. LMP Aramis has finally shown up in the 335 Mercedes GT3. So a very, very diverse GT3 category. There was a lot of concerns that I heard from participants and potential participants that the overall balancing between the cars was not very equal. Despite that, we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we're looking at 11 different manufacturers in the GT3 category. So a very, very diverse field for today's race. And for those of you who do care, we are not only going to be here at Spa today. This day, and really this weekend as an extension, is going to be very busy on this channel for streaming. After the 4 hours are over, there will be a bit of a break. But once that is done, at our normal time, which is about 5:30 to 6 Eastern Time, we will be covering the PTG NASCAR Series. And then after that, assuming that that event doesn't go for too long, we will be covering the season finale for the Adrenaline NASCAR Series. That will be a much, much shorter race. That one will be a little less than 100 laps around Miami. And then tomorrow we will go back to our normal late Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening IndyCar events. That is being hosted by the IFEA, and well, it's still hosted by PINDAS. It's not under IFEA, but we will be hosting that as well as a broadcast. So it looks like everyone who is going to be racing in today's event has shown up. There are still a few drivers who have yet to properly ready up for today's event. We are going to go ahead and take a very short ad break before we get underway with the event proper. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Spa-Francorchamps. Currently, the field is being properly ordered right now. Acura NSXs have locked out the front row with Indiel Cosmic and OSM Brucey 33. PTG Neb is going to be third. VER Dr. Ice is going to be number 4, starting fourth. LMP Aramis will be starting the 5th position. And the other Acura, well, the third Acura, the Ford Nibbles Biscuit, will be starting 6th. 7th will be NFL in the Dodge. Then Thomas 086R in the Aston Martin Vantage. Then GJ Flakbus in the 911. Then Thunder 8159 in the BMW M4, followed by GGA Roadkill in the other Dodge. The two McLarens of Pindaz and Amish are right on top of each other. Then you have Tony Monkey in the Chevy C8, GJ Design, and then afterwards for more in the C7. And we are about to load onto the circuit proper here. So, of note, tire wear is set to a normal 1%, one-time tire multiplier in today's race. So do not anticipate anything particularly crazy when it comes to tire fall-off. This is not going to be anything like the normal enduros that I cover on a monthly basis for the P1R SEC guys. Speaking of which, that enduro should be going underway, I believe, next weekend. So I will still be covering at least the first 2 stints for that. Alright, everyone should be standing in place. Okay, seems like there is a bit of micromanaging and adjustment being done real quickly. That is Roast Race who is pulling forward. Okay, so I'm guessing that Roast Race is... Yes, Roast Race is only serving pace car duties for today's event. He is not participating. So we are looking at 21 car field, 17 GT3s, and 4 GT2s. The GT2 entries will be at the back of the grid for today's event. GT2s have yet to start moving back there. We're not sure what their holdup is right now. What is wrong with our back markers in our GT? All right, here we are. Here's our GT2 category. You have TNR Larry B, followed by Kuroshine, KSR Helios, and J Bingus. Those are your 4 GT2 entries. They are way off the pace of the rest of the field. I'm guessing they are not going to be tucked up with our GT2 categories. But as we said, Indiel Cosmic in the T-Noodles Acura will be on pole. He is sharing the front row with OSM Brucey. Then you will have PTG Neb and Dr. Ice. After that will be LMP Aramis and Nibbles Biscuit, followed by NFL Racer and Thomas 086R. After that is GGA Flakbus in the Porsche, and Pindaz, be aware of GGA Flakbus. A lot of drivers have been complaining that the Porsche's handling gets really problematic under high fuel loads or under worn tires in the Alruz and Radeon corners. So, if we are anticipating anyone to have a big accident in that complex, it would be them. After that, you would have Amish Gaming and Tony Monkey. They will be sharing a row between themselves. And then you'll have GGA Design and SCR Dremora for teammates, as you have a Chevy and a Ford. Interesting thing with Dremora is that Dremora and Tony Monkey are both running in Chevrolets. However, Tony Monkey is in a Chevrolet C8 GT3. Dremora is in the grandfathered Chevrolet C7 entry. There are several grandfathered old GT3 entries that are not designed to be competitive with the field. They are just here if you want them. I believe Dremora is one of, if not the only drivers who have taken it. And then Hanser 1560 is going to be holding the last row all by himself there. Last 17th into GT3 positions in that remaining Acura. And then, as we said before, we only have 4 GT2 entrants. This is TNR Larry B, Kuroshine KSR Ilios, and Jbingus 77. There was supposed to be a Ferrari GT2 entry, however, that entry had to pull out. Okay. So our focus goes to the front of the field. We'll see them start to double up here shortly at Blanchimont. Real quickly, let's look at the fuel and tire. So 60% in the fuel tank for NDL Cosmic at the front of the field. Brucey, who is going to be starting in second, he is at 65%, so he has a slightly heavier fuel tank. In row 2, you will have PTG Neb and Dr. Ice. Neb is at 68%, and Dr. Ice is currently setting the fuel tank at 73%. Then, 5th place starter will be LMP Aramis, and his fuel tank is starting at 66%. So, Pace Car is going to scoot away, and we do want to say thank you once more to Roast Race for doing this. We'll get a little bit more into legalities, but be aware, for the most part, paved is legal with a handful of exceptions here. We'll get into that a little bit more. There are no mandatory pit stops, but no one will be able to go flag to flag on no stops, obviously. And they will not be using the start-finish line here that Formula 1 uses. They're using the alternate start-finish line that you will see them cross about a third of the way down the run. Cosmic, Brucey, it's an Acura 1-2, but can they keep it that way through the most technical corners on the circuit and down the Camel straightaway? Just as they go into that little banner, they will cross the line, and we will be underway here for about an hour and 53 minutes of running. We are off as the field fires off now into Al Rouge and Radion. And it looks like NDL Cosmic will hold top position with no issues whatsoever. We look farther back at the field, though. They're already trying to go 3 wide, and DJ Design very nearly gets squeezed off the circuit in the back of the field right now. Right on board with the Porsche. You can see already drivers are starting to stack up distance penalties. Tony Monkey looking at the inside. He's going to try to make it 3 wide with Hanser and DGA Roadkill. A little bit of side-by-side scenarios designed to squeeze off the circuit, and we'll lose a position to Amish Gaming very early on here. And already there is a fight going on in the GT2 category as we go green flag. We see that Larry immediately pulls away. Kuroshine does not have a good run and checks him up for attack by KSR Elios. The Lamborghini looks high, looks low, doesn't know which way to go as Larry Lee is already scooting away in the GT2 category. No tail between the GT2s now. As they run down the Camel straightaway, the Lamborghini pulls to the inside, neck and neck, dead heat for second, and it looks like Elios will scoop by Kuroshine. Dr. Ice has made his way up into the 3rd position already in the GT3 category now. The top 4 all still pretty much on top of each other. Honestly, it's the top 5 are all on top of each other, and it's a little bit of a ways back until you get to 6th place with his GGA flak bus at the moment, as the field now enters into Sector 3. ETG Neb following behind Dr. Ice for the moment. The Acura duo continues to lead 1-2 at the head of the field, but already distance penalties are starting to stack up here. That's the thing, track limits are not being very intensely policed today because the normal Forza track limits are being turned on and utilized in today's event. As we look at the penalties already, this is big. LMP Aramis, a top 5 runner, already has stacked up a little bit of distance penalties very early on in the event. NDL Cosmic and Brucey are nose to tail now as they come out of the hairpin. This is the first time that we're going to see our leaders going full speed into the Al Rouge and Radion complex. You need to be very careful here if your cars are not very well set up through these corners. That is a big twist by NDL Cosmic, and Brucey had to back way out of it to not hit Cosmic. Like I was trying to say, you need to make sure that your cars are very well set up for that complex of corners. An accident there will spell doom, and Cosmic was left so weak that we now see Brucey coming around the outside. Reminder, Brucey had to back out to not hit Cosmic and actually got a distance penalty. And PTG Neb goes off circuit further back as well. So it looks like it may be one of those races where it might not be outright pace that dictates the win. It may be more a case of who can just minimize their distance penalties already. NDL Cosmic still has Brucey right on his rear wing, but Brucey has already earned 0.04 of a mile in distance penalties already. Top two are starting to scoot away from the duel of Dr. Ice, Neb, and Aramis. GGA Flackbus has completely lost pace with the rest of the field. He basically is running best of the rest there in that Jägermeister Porsche right now, keeping Thomas 086 and NFL Racer behind right now. Then a little bit behind that, you get this real big clump of cars from Thunder, Roadkill, Hamster, Nibbles, Pindaz, Amish, Tony Monkey, Design, and Dramora. Sponsored car there, driven by Thunder, but we look at our leaders right now. Brucey continues to stalk NDL Cosmic as they head through Sector 3. Brucey looks to the outside, coming up to Blanchimont. Might try a crossover on exit, try cut in, not close enough to make it work. All right, into the quick, well, I should say quick, it's really slow, right, left, heavy bus stop chicane here. No movement yet. You can audibly hear that Brucey is struggling to put power down in his Acura, but he is putting Cosmic under pressure. The good news for this duo, though, is that they are scooting away, not by a massive amount, but they are gradually increasing their distance between each other and Dr. Ice. BTG Neb has lost Dr. Ice at this point. All right, we saw Cosmic had a big twitch through these corners last lap. Will they be able to keep it under them this time? It looks like it's much stabler for both of these drivers, but now both of them are going to end up with distance penalties, and Cosmic now has a distance penalty even greater than Brucey, and by virtue of that, this will put Dr. Ice in position to fight for the win here, because he does not have distance penalties, and this duo does right now. So that could be something very important to keep an eye on right now. Our two Acuras both have distance penalties. Oh, does Dr. Ice go off? Someone, it looked like, went off farther back there. Whatever it was, it doesn't seem like it's had that much of an impact, though. The GT2 field has completely fallen apart. Pearlshine has dropped to 4th and last in the GT2 field. Also, no one in the GT2 field has any distance penalties yet, so that's an interesting thing to consider as well. So most of the field at the front has kind of broken up, but as farther back, we start seeing everyone tucked up. GJ Flackbus struggling with the handling of that Porsche. You can see how it's oversteering and then understeering. The rear is not really in sync with the front, and it's causing him to lose a lot of time here in Sector 2, but he does seem to have a setup good enough to really let him open up the gaps in Sector 1 and Sector 3 here. Then you have these drivers, Thomas, NFL Racer, Hanser. It's a bit of a gap back until you get to GGA Roadkill, who has Nibbles Biscuit behind him. Then it is Thunder, 8159, Amish Gaming, Tony Monkey, and then GGA Design, who is actually one of the few GT3 drivers who still do not have any distance penalties yet. And we have had a change for position. NDL Cosmic has gone off. Oh my goodness, and this is in Sector 3. The car is destroyed. Cosmic, who had been our race leader, has gone off. And it's not even been 10 racing minutes, and we have had our first big dramatic incident as our race leader, NDL Cosmic, has had an accident in Blanchimont in Sector 3. He'll have to duck into the pits to repair the damage to the car, but this is going to put Brucey in a fantastic position now. Brucey does not have to worry about a car ahead really holding him up and blocking him. He can just try and put his head to the grindstone and try and open up the gap now between himself and Dr. Ice. But this has completely upended the pacing and the direction of this race. And I think Brucey has just cut, yes, Brucey in the Acura has just cut the sectors into Sector 1. Al Rouge Radion again, he's now up to 0.058 miles of distance penalty. It is Dr. Ice who is now looking like the overall distance winner now, because Dr. Ice is able to just minimize his track cutting. The Acuras may have good handling, but I think under racing conditions with a full fuel load, it's just not enough for those Acuras to properly stay within the racing lines here. And Dr. Ice in that Lexus is in a car that's a little bit higher center of gravity, a little bit slower, a little bit tougher to drive. Big twitch by Brucey there, out of the no-name corner as they head down now into the double left-hander. So those Acuras are bad fast, but they seem to be bad twitchy And now you have to wonder, well, we saw 4 Acuras entry. That was more entries than any other manufacturer in any of the categories. But only 2 of them started up near the front. One of them started midfield, and one of them started at the back of the GT3 category. And now, we're not even 15 full minutes into this race. We've lost an Acura. We've not actually lost them. They're still running, but they've been damaged and fallen down the order. And the other Acura is just not able to pull away. They keep twitching and sliding, going over the curve. You have to wonder if the Acura, they have traded stability for handling. Well, they've traded stability for lap time, and that lack of handling is going to be a big thing that is costing them, because already 0.058 miles worth of distance penalty. That is equal to or more than all the distance penalties in the top 6 runners right now. Regrettably, we did not see what happened back there to NDL Cosmic, but Cosmic has fallen all the way back to 16th, second to last in the field. And here's something else to note real quickly. GT2 leader TNR Larry B is about to catch our last place GT3 driver SDR Dramora. Again, I think in this case it is more a case that instead of Dramora being incredibly off pace, Dramora is in the older Chevrolet design car, and these cars were not properly balanced. They were never intended to be properly balanced. They were just there as a funsies option. I believe there may be a significant car issue there more than just the issue in the driver's seat. Hanser has gone ahead and sneaked by Thomas 86R as they came out of the hairpin now, and Hanser is now going to set his sights forward on GGA Flat Bus here. Black Bus on the curb, really slow and struggling. And look at Hanser, he's got to run to the outside. Black Bus could not keep the car under him. And Hanser very well able to keep flies by Black Bus like it's no problem. And now Thomas is going to start to do the exact same thing. Thomas pulls up alongside, neck and neck between the two of them. Black Bus dives into the corner at the end of the Camel Straight and will do exactly the thing. Thomas is kept behind Black Bus. Now Black Bus goes to the inside of Hanser. Hanser has a wider line, will power out and maintain position over Black Bus for the moment. So very smooth move by Hanser, but Sector 2 seems to be relatively good for Flat Bus for now, but as they go over more and more technical corners, the Porsche's weaknesses really seem to be showing. You were going to talk about the Acura's having some issues. It seems like that Porsche 911 that Flat Bus is in just has some of the worst handling of every car in the field every time they go through a corner. It looks like the entire car is squatting on a single tire, and then the nose is lifting up and it's kind of firing off, however, and it's given it such a very difficult way to set up. And Kuroshine has made a pit already in the GT2 category, so that's unexpected. And now around the outside goes Thomas 086 NFL Racers, stuck behind this group, but the Dodgers do not have the outright straight line speed to make something of it. Mind you, NFL does not have any distance penalties right now, but this duo does, and it looks like Thomas should be able to complete this overtake on Black Bus here. Looks like that is exactly going to be the case. Oh no, and Black Bus is around! Turn in contact, and Black Bus in the Porsche has spun now out of Blanchemont. So that is the second time now we have seen somebody go around out of the Blanchemont course. That was not where I expected we'd see the Porsche have an issue. We expected the Porsche, if they were going to have any accidents, was going to be in the Aarhus and Radeon corners, but it's Blanchemont that seems to be the big problematic corner for today's event. This has dropped Black Bus back to the 8th position now. So Hanser now up in 5th, Thomas 086R now in 6th. NFL Racer, second highest of all drivers who have yet to get distance penalties. And NDL Cosmic, he has already gone well past 1/10 of a mile in distance penalties. Him and Pindaz both are the only 2 drivers who have done so thus far, and both of them are very way down the order. So Pindaz and Cosmic are not setting their Spa 4-hour enduro up in a very good way, and now to say that NFL Racer now has gotten a distance penalty at this stage of the event. Please stand by, we're going to take a mandatory ad break. We'll be back shortly here at Spa. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to go ahead and welcome you back here to Spa-Francorchamps. Indio Cosmic, who started on pole but had a big accident in Blanchemont, destroyed the car, is rushing his way up through the field. He has already recovered up to 11th right now in the GT3 category. However, Cosmic has earned more distance penalties than everyone else on track. He is behind on pit stop, so while he may be one of, if not the fastest driver on track right now, it is just not looking good, and he has had a big slide. He'll keep the car on circuit, but he has a big slide there, and now he is over a fifth of a mile in distance penalties. We're not even 1/5 of the way through Stint 1, and this entry, the Indio Cosmic, the Team Noodles entry, has already earned over a fifth of a mile in distance penalties. It has been so frustrating for this event, for Indio Cosmic, and just this team in general. And remember, this is a 2-stint event. If you have a bad Stint 1, there is not enough time in Stint 2 to recover. You have to be on top of it all the way through. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, it was our second place qualifier, OSM Brucey. He was right on top of Indio Cosmic, putting Cosmic under incredible pressure before Cosmic had his accident in this very corner, Blanchemont here. Since then, Brucey has inherited the lead, but Brucey has gradually been adding up his own distance penalties. His entire thing is that he is adding up distance penalties, but he is fast, and he is trying to outrun distance penalties from this man here. Second place, Dr. I seems to be the only driver here in the top 8 who actually seem to have a really good understanding of how to make sure you do not go off circuit. He is minimizing his distance penalties, and that, more than anything else, could pay big dividends to the VER entry right now. Dr. Ice is trying to stay ahead of PTG Neb. Neb and Dr. Ice have been in a bit of a stalking battle, basically since the green flag fell, but Neb has been gradually accumulating distance penalties. You can see he's already at about an 1/8 of a mile worth of distance penalties. He hits the grass there and really sets him up badly through the Outrage and Meridian complex. And no, Dr. Ice has now incurred distance penalties. It's not much, but he has now incurred distance penalties for the first time in the event. And this means that at this stage of the event, there are only 2 GT3 entries that do not have distance penalties yet. One of them is this man here, GTA Roadkill, in this Dodge, who has just been overtaken by Indio Cosmic. Roadkill has yet to incur any distance penalties. The other GT3 drivers who have yet to include distance penalties is this man here, SDR Dromora. Dromora completely off pace in a car that was intentionally not balanced with the rest of the field. He is dead last, likely to finish a lap down to everyone else in the category, but Dromora might be on track to finish this race with no distance penalties. In the GT2 category, DNR Larry B has led since the word go, and the entire GT2 category has been completely split apart. There has been no fighting between them whatsoever. KSR Elios, though, in second overall in GT2, has done a good job minimizing his distance penalties. He's still at 0 distance penalties. Curlshine made a pit stop relatively early on. They are also at distance penalties already. And then you have Jay Bingus, who has no distance penalties yet. They are a very distant dead last in the GT2 category right now. And as I say that, Jay Bingus has just earned and incurred a distance penalty. PTG Neb is currently up to 0.164 miles in distance penalties at the moment. So penalties may be the big thing that decides this race, but look at this right now. If you look at everyone in the top 5, there is only one of them who has less than a 1/10 of a mile in distance penalties right now. That is Dr. Ice. But for Dr. Ice, his pace has been dropping, and PTG Neb is closing back in on him. As you can see, Dr. Ice has not been burning through his engine, his fuel or tires at a massive rate. He's put on the hardest set of tires, and he is just trying to let the race come to him, but the pace is dropping off, and right now, Brucey is running fast enough laps that, assuming he doesn't end up on a really bad strategy or doesn't get some real bad handling issues with the tires fall off, I think Brucey might be able to just outrun distance penalties. And here comes Brucey. He is closing in on Jay Bingus. Mind you, Jay Bingus is last place of the GT2 entries. He is in that one of the 3 different KTM Expos. GT4 category only has 4 cars, 1 Lamborghini, and 3 KTMs. Brucey has caught the first of the KTMs. So So this will be the first real traffic that Brucey has to deal with, and Dingingus is not going to give him any issue whatsoever. He just pulls over immediately to let Brucey by here. Neb, look at this now. Neb has already put himself up over a fifth of a mile in distance penalties now. Ice is wide. Ice is sliding very wide. Ice is keeping his distance penalties minimal, but his pace has completely fallen off over the last 5 minutes or so, about the last 2 laps or so, because Dr. Ice has lost all of his pace, and now he is just being absolutely swamped by PTG Neb. Neb trying to make moves around the outside. Yes, he'll do it. He'll go the long way around to complete the overtake on Dr. Ice. But Neb has more than half of the distance penalties of Brucey right now. So realistically, while this is an overtake for position on track, and apparently there has been some sort of issue at Al Rouge, we've not heard anything yet, or seen anything yet. But we are hearing reports that there may have been somebody who's gone off at Al Rouge. Well, if we get any word, we'll keep an eye on that. GGA Roadkill runs a 9th in the Dodge. Still has yet to incur any distance penalties. One of only 3 drivers. KSR Elios and SDR Dremore being the other ones who have yet to incur distance penalties. But the driver just ahead, GGA Flackbus, he had a spin while fighting for a 6th place position and pushed him out in the no man's lane here in 8th. But he has kept his distance penalties very minor, and now that he is not actively fighting with other drivers, Flackbus might be in a good position. He can really put his head down and just click off some nice, good laps. Another driver to potentially keep an eye on is Thomas 086R. He has not even crossed 4% of a distance penalty yet. So Thomas could be in a good position overall if he guesses on a good strategy when it comes to fuel and tire wear, doesn't get involved in any instance and spend too much time fighting people. Now that you're in clean air, you can really focus on min-maxing your laps and making sure you're minimizing your penalties. Thomas might be able to steal another spot or 2 as this race goes on, just off the back of that alone. VER's Dr. Ice has not let PTG Neb get away yet. Neb is taking good position, has held it for just about a lap, but Dr. Ice holds station, and Indio Cosmic is into the pits. No evidence that Cosmic was the one who may have had the accident there. Oh no, apparently it may have been Cosmic. So this would be Cosmic's 2nd accident, and we're not even a quarter of the way through Stint 1. And Cosmic has had 2 accidents and over a quarter of a mile of distance penalties. So for Indio Cosmic, he is likely going to be fighting with SDR Dremora for the last positions with the way that this race has been going. Frustrating times for Cosmic. He is fast. He's one of the faster drivers here. But between distance penalties and now 2 different accidents, it just seems like the entire event is derailing for him today. LMP Aramis is kind of stuck in no man's land in 4th position. Too much penalties to do anything to this duo here, fighting for 2nd. But if they get into an accident, they could capitalize. Brucey's advantage over this group has stabilized out for the moment. But now we're seeing the rest of our GT3 drivers starting to come up on Jay Bingus, who is last in the GT2 category. Big thing to remember, GT2s are not massively off pace with the GT3 drivers in today's event. There is a little bit of a pace differential, but generally speaking, and Dr. Ice did not have a good run there through Al Rouge, and neither did Neb. Both of them extended and had to jump off the gas, so it would not be counted as track advantages for them. Coming up on traffic here at Sector 2. This is the same area that Brucey caught Dominguez, but Brucey is completely by himself way up the road. These 2 drivers are actively fighting for each other. Neb misses the apex there, will dive in deep, push himself by, and he'll clear Dominguez without too much issue. Now here comes Dr. Ice, who will completely overtake as well. Pindaz is now into the pit lane, it seems. Is this fuel and tires? Well, I don't see any damage, but he is pitting significantly earlier than I think anyone was anticipating. That's interesting. Real quickly, let's look at our lead drivers and see what their fuel and tires are looking like at this stage of the event. 15% left in the fuel tank for Brucey right now. He's at 47% tire wear. Then we look at second place. This is PTG Neb there, who is in the Aston. Neb is at 47% on that left front. He's at 12% fuel. Then Dr. Ice, who is in third position, he is at 48%. So he has been putting a lot more wear on his tires. He still has a decent amount of fuel, but he has been putting some significant wear on his tires. Aramis is a little bit farther back. He is currently at 49%, and he has a lot more fuel in the tank. He may be a little bit overfueled. And there's a long way back until you get to Hanser. Hanser has put himself into his own no man's land, but he was an Acura that qualified midfield. He has climbed his way up the grid, and he is only at 43% tire wear, and he still has a lot of fuel left, so he could really go a lot deeper into these runs than what Brucey is doing. The thing is, though, that he is way behind the track position and still has more distance penalties right now. And then one more driver to look on. This is Thomas, who has some of the lowest amount of distance penalties thus far. He's at 48% on the tires on the front. He's also incurred a bit of engine damage, but still has a lot of fuel left in the tank right now. And that was Dremora, who has now gone a lap down to Brucey at this stage of the race. So the next GT3 driver that would go a lap down would be Pindaz. Pindaz has already made a stop. And then you would have Indio Cosmic. Well, potentially Cosmic. Cosmic is just blistered by Tony Monkey here. Monkey is not letting Cosmic go without a fight, but Cosmic is so much faster than him that Cosmic just does not have the stability in the car already. Cosmic, he's not only the only one of only two drivers past the 2/10 mark, he has gotten over a quarter of a mile of distance penalties. The only driver worse on distance penalties thus far is PTG Neb, who has now fallen back behind Dr. Ice once again at the stage of the event. So while Neb is significantly faster than Dr. Ice, it would appear, I think a lot of that is coming out the fact that he is being so much more aggressive on the track limits, and he is incurring a significant amount of distance penalties. Dr. Ice on very worn out tires, these two just continue to slow each other down, and they continue to gradually bleed off time. It's not that Brucey is opening up the gap on merit, it is that Ice and Neb are spending so much time fighting with each other that Brucey, just turning cleaner laps by himself, is able to gap those two in second and third position. Right now, PTG Neb is Brucey's biggest friend, and that was not a good entry into the bus stop chicane, but Brucey is into the pits. So our leaders are about to start green flag pit stops. Brucey has pitted out of the lead. What do our second, third, and fourth place drivers elect to do this time? Dr. Ice will stay out on track, and it looks like PTG Neb has done the same. So has Aramis. But Brucey is pitted about 33 minutes into the event, so we are anticipating that Brucey is making this a 3-stop run in today's event. And this has now turned into the fight for the lead. Dr. Ice is the first non-Acura to lead in the GT3 category in today's event, with PTG Neb hanging out just a little bit behind. They are coming up on SDR Dremora. Remember, Dremora is in that Chevy that was designed to not be filled evenly with the majority of the cars. He is in the older C7 Corvette. That is probably the biggest reason why he has dropped off so much compared to everyone else. Indio Cosmic has now crossed the 3/10 of a mile of distance penalty marker now. And it's only getting more and more frustrating for Cosmic as this goes on. Neb looks to the inside of Dr. Ice. Dr. Ice has a big twitch as he tries to block. Neb jumps on the brakes hard and slides the rear end, trying to keep the car under him. In Sector 2 now is Lexus versus Aston. The only Lexus in the field, I believe, versus one of only two Astons here. And Neb has a tire advantage, but Ice has a penalty advantage, or a lack of penalty advantage right now. We have a slide again out of the rear of that Lexus. You have to wonder how much longer can he stay out on these burnt out tires. 57%. He doesn't have a whole lot of fuel left either, so he's only gonna have enough for maybe one more full lap For Neb, I think we're looking at a similar position. Look at that, 1.8% left for Neb. Neb is going to have to pit this time. Our question is Dr. Ice. Is he going to go ahead and jump into the pit this time as well? Apparently Nibbles has had an accident that has seen him go into the wall as well. We've missed that as we are watching a very intense fight here for the current lead of the GT3 categories. As they go through the chicane, here they come. Dr. Ice and PTC Dev both go one lap longer than our initial leader did. Brucey and Aramis also is going to join them back there in third. So we should see Brucey re-inherit the race lead after this. And that is exactly what we will see. What of Hanser? Will Hanser elect to pit? No, Hanser is going to stay out a little longer. Reminder, Hanser is in this Acura that is going much, much farther on fuel and much farther on tires. Could Hanser have a potential two-stop strategy in the works for today's event? If Hanser can make this a two-stop strategy, it would put him in a fantastic position. Meanwhile, for the drivers who just did their pit stops, look at this. Dr. Ice and Neb, they're in a drag race, a dead heat out of the pit lane. As they come down to Alvarez and Radion, Neb has the position over Dr. Ice. So Neb goes back into what is currently third overall. He gets sideways. He gets touched 3-4 times, nearly gets turned off the nose of that Lexus. Now the Lexus is going to go to the outside. Lexus outside, Aston Martin inside. Drag race down the Camel straightaway. Ice has a big run. Heavy under the brakes now. Neb is going to lunge deep under brakes and through the Camel corners. And it looks like Dr. Ice is going to not quite complete the pass, but he's got his car about 8/10 ahead. Neb on the inside, now he'll power out. He'll get the car back, but Ice has a great run downhill. Neb has the ideal inside line. He'll dive in deep. He'll slide the rear of the car wide. He leaves the inside open for Dr. Ice. Ice can't get alongside. Neb holds station through the no-name corner and down to the double left-hander, and it looks like for now it is PTG Neb who has got the upper hand on Dr. Ice for what is currently third in today's event here. So a very intense amount of fight between the two of them as they just came out of pit lane, were rushing to get their tires back up to temperature there. GTA Designs come into the pits, and Design has now incurred a distance penalty as well. So SCR Dremora is now the only driver in the GT3 category who has not yet incurred a distance penalty. KSR Elios is the only driver in the GT2 category who has yet to incur a distance penalty. Every other driver has incurred some sort of distance penalty at this stage of the event. Once more, Jabingus lets Brucey go by, and Brucey seems to have figured out a little bit of a trick on how to cut the inside, the very first corner in that final bus stop chicane. It's not truly a bus stop chicane anymore, but it's still called that because it used to be a bus stop chicane. But Brucey has found a way to cut the inside right-hand corner in that final chicane, which keeps him from getting a distance penalty, and I think that is going to pay big dividends to Brucey as long as it is not considered a cheat or a cut or an illegal move later in the event. We'll definitely look at that later in the event if we get any word. NFL Racer is now going ahead and pitting out the 6th position. Real quickly, as we turn our ticker over to pit stops, you can see that GTA Flak Bus is now going ahead and pitting in that Porsche now. It is taking him a long time to have to pit. We are seeing a lot of drivers who I believe are going for a 2-stop strategy instead of a 3-stop strategy right now. And of those drivers on what we believe is a 2-stop strategy, this is the one to watch in particular. Hanser, he has not yet hit the 60% mark on his tires. He still has a little bit of fuel left. He could potentially try and make this a 2-stop race. The only thing that could compromise Hanser's run on a 2-stop race is that the very first little pit stop will be a little bit shorter. There's 30 seconds with no one moves, and you have an entire lap under pace speed where you're not really putting a lot of wear on the tires and you're not burning a lot of fuel. So Hanser is going to have to realize that the next 2 stints, the tires and the fuel life are going to be much, much worse than what it is early on here. Outside of that, the only other drivers in the GT3 category who have yet to pit, this is Thunder, who is running back here in the 11th position now. He is in the BMW entry right now. He is on a very hard set of tires. I think he is probably running a set of hards right now, trying to minimize pit stops overall. Then even farther back than that, you have SDR Dramora, who is still last in category. He is running, he's got a lot of engine damage, and that will probably derail any chance he had of a good run here. Then you have KSR Elios. This is your only driver in the GT2 category who has yet to make a pit stop. And Elios is also on a set of harder tires, likely trying to cut out a stint, figuring that is the only way he'll be able to do anything. TNR Larry B. All right, Hanser has finally gone ahead and made a pit stop out of second place. And again, we anticipate that Hanser is on a two-stop strategy in today's event. Riding on board with Dr. Ice, he goes right into Nev's rear diffuser there. Not quite nose to tail. Ice wants to be close enough to get a toe off of Nev, but he doesn't want to be so close that if Nev has an instant, he goes off following him. Nev just earned another about 8% of distance penalty just in that little sector of Alvarez and Radion alone. And Jay Bingus is our first dropout, and Dr. Ice will sail by PTG Nev as Nev had that big issue. And now we see that Dr. Ice has incurred more than a third of a mile of distance penalties in this event. He has more distance penalties than anyone else now. We're going to try and reach out to Jay Binga, see if he wants to say anything about what's happened to him that's taken him out of the event now. But frustration is just past the 1/3 distance in stint 1 of 2 here, and he is out. Oh, Enhancer! No! Enhancer, their top driver on the two-stop strategy! And now Brucey, our leader, the Acura leader, who had been leading the entire time, OSM Brucey. One driver lags out, and all of a sudden, 3 different drivers, including 2 of our top contenders, have suddenly dropped out here. Brucey, who had been leading and looked poised to walk off with us, has suddenly dropped out, and both of the Acuras that started on the front row have now had their races derailed, and this fight between Dr. Ice and PTG Neb is now for the overall lead and stint win. Neb goes for a gigantic dive bomb going into the corner, and he'll make it stick, but he overshoots, and Dr. Ice will get him back on the exit of the chicane. All of a sudden, we are now down to only 3 drivers in the GT2 category, and we are down to just 15 in the GT3 category. And in this fight between Dr. Ice and Neb is in a real bad position because Neb has no way to really beat Dr. Ice. He's not fast enough to run away and outrun his distance penalties. And look at this, Neb is already over 4/10 of a mile in distance penalties. So while Dr. Ice is just kind of relaxed and holding back, Neb continues to earn and accrue distance penalties. So this is it. This is basically the entire event derailed. Acura showed up with 4 bullets in the chamber, including 2 of them locking up the front row. One of them has crashed out twice already. One of them has now disconnected. And then the second best Acura who had been running thus far, who was on a different strategy, has also disconnected. So while Acura was without a doubt the best entry overall for today's event, reliability is going to be what kills them. Funny thing is, with all this working out, there's still a possibility that Indio Cosmic is not going to be the best finishing Acura, depending on how it goes. All right, and coming into the party right now is OSM Brucey 33. Brucey, can you hear me? No, he left the party right away. We apologize for that. Tony Monkey now comes into the pits. All right, well, Brucey tried again and lagged out again. And Brucey tries again. Brucey, can you hear me? All right, sweet. Brucey, are you able to include your audio in the Xbox party? Okay, Brucey, dominant. It looked like you were gonna walk off with it. What took you out there? Yeah. Yes. Frustrating. Stint 2, are you driving in Stint 2? Alright, frustrating to see. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Alright, that would be interesting to see if we can, but thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Brucey. Alright. So now we turn our focus back to the race here. Dr. Ice seems to hold station over PTG Neb, but the big thing is that Neb has now crossed over the 0.4 of a mile mark in distance penalties as this race goes on. While Neb has the pace to keep up with Dr. Ice, he just does not have the finesse. He basically needs Dr. Ice to have a big accident here in order to make something happen. So now, as the race is into a little bit of a calming phase, we're going to go ahead and knock out an ad break. We will be back shortly here at Spa-de-Francorchamps. Don't go away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Spa-Francorchamps. You are watching our leaders in the GT3 category continue to battle it out, but this may be a fight in futility because unless Dr. Ice has something absolutely catastrophic happen, Neb has has nearly half a mile worth of distance penalties that he's just not going to be able to outrun compared to Dr. Ice. And the wild card in this all is going to be LMP Aramis. Aramis hanging out here in third. We've not talked a lot about them. He's not had the outright pace of Dr. Ice or Neb. He's not had the cleanliness of Dr. Ice either. However, Aramis is running in a really solid position, and when you consider the overall issues, and there is something gone wrong with Trevor, we'll look at that shortly here. But when you look at Aramis overall, the big thing is that he has significantly less distance penalty than Neb. He is going to close by about 0.2 of a mile on Neb, assuming that no one else changes and adds to their distance penalty. Aramis might not just finish third, he might be able to steal second from PTG Neb. And if something happens to Dr. Ice, if Dr. Ice has an accident or starts accruing a ridiculous amount of penalties, Aramis might be in a position to walk out of here with a freak stint win. For those of you who have just now joined us, who missed the majority of our run, we had 4 Acuras in the GT3 category, including 2 of them starting on the front row. That duo was Brucey, and the man here that you can see, it is, I want to show you who it was, Indio Cosmic, who has worked his way up into 4th despite the 2 accidents. But what happened is that Cosmic has had 2 accidents thus far, one in Blanchimont and one in Al Rouge. In the process, it has completely derailed his event. The fact he's been able to race his way back up to 4th is incredible, but has completely derailed his race at any shot he had of winning. So then that turned the race lead over to Brucey. Hanser 1560, who didn't qualify up near the front, but was on a 2-stop strategy, while most of the field is on a 3-stop. He was way ahead of everyone else on the 2-stop strategy, but then Gabingas had a power outage, and for whatever reasons, it seemed like that caused Brucey and Hanser to have a disconnect of their own. So the 3 of our 4 Acuras, the best ones, they have all had accidents or incidents that have taken them out. Hanser and Brucey with connection issues, and Cosmic has had a pair of accidents and is so far behind. He is about 2/5 of a lap behind our top 3. There's just no way for Cosmic to make up the ground. The next best Acura, I believe, at this stage of the race is... As our GT2 guy, or is it Nibbles? Yes, it is Nibbles. And the funny thing with Nibbles started at the back of the GT3 category, and Nibbles has also had an accident in the Al Rouge Radion sections today. So all 4 of our Acura entries, the dominant entry, all 4 of them have had their races derailed. Nibbles has had his race derailed the least, but Nibbles has also been by far the slowest of the Acura entries thus far. So at the front, it has been PTG Neb and Dr. Ice. But if you look at that, PTG Neb is looking at a .452. He is basically looking at losing about 2,400 feet in overall distance. The other thing to remember, this is not going to be like the P1R Enduros where you run to the end of the clock. Once the race timer says 10 minutes left, everyone will come to a stop and there will be a quick recording of everybody's distances. So do remember that we are not going full on to the end of this race. But still, we are looking at a scenario where Neb is likely going to end up accruing a massive amount of distance penalties that is going to shunt him down to 3rd. The only good news is that they are so far ahead of Indio Cosmic. I don't see any way that Cosmic runs this group down because he is so far behind. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about TNR Larry B real quickly. The GT2 category has really only had one legitimate overtake on merit, and that was on lap 1. TNR Larry B has been your leader in the GT2 category from the word go. Second place in GT2 is KSR Elios in the Lamborghini. Now, we believe that Elios is on a 2-stop strategy while Larry is on a 3-stop. But the pace difference between Larry and Elios is so big that I don't see Elios actually closing any significant amount. And then Kuroshine has already gone a lap down relative to Larry B at the stage of the event, and they are second to last in overall distance right now. Now, granted, the GT2 category started the race about a third of a lap behind the GT3 drivers, but still, it has not been a good time at all for Kuroshine. Hindaz muscling his way by Kuroshine. Does not want to deal with GT2s. And that seems to be the interesting thing. The GT2 pace has been so radically spread out. The drivers at the front and the back of the GT2 field are just nowhere near each other and haven't been all day long. When Dominguez was running with us, he also is just kind of hanging out in a third place all on his own right now. Okay, so at this stage of the race, Dr. Ice has now incurred a little bit more distance penalties. Still has not yet hit 5% of a mile though in distance penalties, while PTG Nev is creeping up on 50%. Dr. Ice basically has a tenth of the distance penalties that Nev has right now. But if you look down the order, the only drivers with less distance penalties is SDR Jamora and KSR Elias. And interesting thing with Jamora, we don't know what happened here, but we saw Jamora made a pit stop and came out of pit lane and came to a stop on the pit lane exit, was there for about 10 seconds before he started moving. We're not sure what happened, but yeah, it's just not been a great time for Jamora in a car that was not very fast. Jamora, one of the older drivers, and as you know, age normally slows you down. Jamora, one of the older drivers in the field, been significantly off pace. It's not been a good time. KSR Elios in an interesting position, continues to run a two-stop strategy with no distance penalties whatsoever, but is so far behind Larry B that the frustration is that it just doesn't matter what he does. He has run basically a perfect race, but it does not matter. You can have a bad race, you can have a lot of accidents, and if you just have a ridiculous pace advantage, it won't matter. Indio Cosmic has now crossed the fourth of a mile marker in distance penalties. So Cosmic continues to fight with PTG Neb for most distance penalties. And the other thing is that Cosmic is going to have to pit likely at the end of this lap for more fuel and tires. And when he does that, that is likely going to shunt him back to about the 6th, maybe even the 7th or 8th positions here. Speaking of which, GTA Flak Bus is right there with TNR Larry B. Remember, Larry is in the GT2 category, so this is not a fight for position, but Larry is just trying to clock off laps in clean air right now, and Flakbus is just trying to do the same. I will give Flakbus full credit, though. He has the third least distance penalties of everyone in the GT3 category, and the entire build-up, the 2 weeks leading up to this event, people were constantly talking about, oh my goodness, the Porsches just are awful with handling. You can get the Porsches to be really, really good over a lap, but the lose control and Alruz and Radion. Flakbus has been the only driver who has stuck with the Porsches in this event. And all things considered, Flakbus, while he is not fast, he is not contained for the overall win. This Porsche has only had a single accident thus far. It did not cause any damage. It was just a spin, and he lost about 10 seconds off of it. Flakbus has gone through an entire fuel and tire run, and everyone's concerned about the Porsche being a walking time bomb of accidents has not come to fruition. And while Flakbus is not fighting for the win, I have to say that he is doing a great job mastering the Porsche and making sure it stays under his control and under his power today. I cannot stress this enough. Flakbus has been putting on a fantastic drive in a car that everyone has been saying was going to be a death trap today. Especially when you compare it to the Acura, the car that everyone said was going to be fantastic, and we have had more accidents in Acuras than all of the other manufacturers combined today. Alright, so Cosmic has gone ahead and made his pit stop, and it has put him back in 6th position behind Thomas and NFL Racer. So depending on how the rest of this race goes, Cosmic might be able to put himself on track ahead of Thomas and NFL Racer, but the distance penalties continue to add up. Cosmic has almost caught PTG Neb in overall distance penalties at this stage of the event. We are also coming up to what we believe will be the second round of pit stops here. Our top 2 drivers continue to run right on top of each other. Neb continues to have better grasp on tire life, but has a much worse grasp when it comes to track limits. LMP Aramis continues to run a little bit farther back in 3rd position. And this will likely turn into a... Well, Aramis has earned a little bit more distance penalties, but if Aramis can keep the rest of his race clean, there is a possibility. As I say that, Aramis hyperextends there, and now losing Radion, and instances like that will keep Aramis from stealing second. Oh, and Neb has done it! Neb has now crossed over the half of a mile distance mark in penalties. And Design is now nearly up to a 10th of a mile in distance penalties as well. The entirety of the event today seems to come down to distance penalties. And look at how Dr. Ice just cuts through the field. He has no problems going through lap traffic, while Neb is being absolutely hammered by traffic. It's taken him almost 3 times as long just to get by one. And now he's going to have to get by Thunder there. Just ahead, Thunder, who is in that BMW GT4 entry, the M4 entry, in the GT3 category. I said GT4 car. I do apologize for that. So Neb is really struggling with traffic and really struggling with track limits. He has been the first driver to eclipse the half of a mile distance marker in penalties. He has had pace. This is probably the raciest I've ever seen PTG Neb in years. But that raciness has come with a price. Still, compared to Aramis, he has actually opened the gap between himself and Aramis a bit when it comes to distance penalties. So that is still something to keep an eye on. Every driver in the GT3 category, except for Dramora, Design, and Dr. Ice, has eclipsed the 1/10 of a mile distance marker at this stage of the event. It looks like Neb is starting to figure out that cut there that Brucey was figuring out in the chicane. So Neb might try and use that to close down on Dr. Ice. Remember, Ice has been burning and chewing through his tires as the event has been going on. We're going to go ahead and knock out an ad break right now, and when we come back, we anticipate that we will see our leaders making their second pit stops of the day. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly here at Spa-Francorchamps. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll welcome you back here to Spa-Francorchamps. We have about 47 minutes of racing left. Pindas has gone ahead and made his next stop, but we are now in the position we are starting to see drivers making their second stops. Again, several drivers are going for a 3-stop strategy. Several drivers are going for a 2-stop strategy in the event. So we do have some strategy play up in the air, but the big thing is that Dr. Ice, Neb, and Aramis are pretty much locked out for the top 3 finishing positions. The question is just going to be, when it comes to distance penalties, where are the 3 of them going to end up? We believe that all 3 of them are on 3-stop strategies right now. Looking at the ticker right now, Indio Cosmic, despite having 2 accidents and basically being an entire pit stop behind, has raced his way up into the 6th position. We are anticipating that they will close in and overtake Thomas 086R and NFL Racer 4812 sooner rather than later here. Also, 7th on track is TNR Larry B. But remember, TNR Larry B is in the GT2 category. They started about a third of a lap behind the rest of the GT3 field. Despite that, TNR Larry B has raced his way up through the majority of the GT3 victory field, and he is on track to maybe get a top 5 finish in overall distance here. We will definitely keep an eye on that. But Indiel Cosmic blows by NFL Racer out of the chicane. So Indiel Cosmic now moves up into the 5th position. We look once more at our 2 drivers at the head of the field. Dr. Ice, leading the pack, is at 54% on the tire wear. He could probably do this lap and one more. PTG Nev, who has been better on tire life, he is at 51%. But look at that fuel. PTG Nev will surely pit this time. We just don't know if Dr. Ice will join him. And then there's Aramis, who is a little bit farther back from this duo. These 3 drivers all pitted at the same lap earlier in the event. Is that going to be what happens again this time? Dr. Ice stays out, but Nev is going to pit. So Dr. Ice is going to push his tires a little farther, but Nev and Aramis say, nah, screw that. We want to go ahead and pit now. So we see a little bit of strategy offset here at the head of the field now. As you see Dr. Ice go out of shot there. That's Design, who is a lap down, fighting with Thunder and Tony Monkey. The 3 of them have been going back and forth for those positions most of the day here. But you'll see PTG Neb and LMP Aramis coming out of the pits very shortly. There goes Neb coming out of the pits now. Neb does not have to immediately fight with anybody else coming out of pit lane. He can afford to take his time to get his tires up to temperature properly. There goes Pindaz and KSR Elios as they go by. Remember, KSR Elios is a GT2 category driver. So most of the battles on track have pretty much eradicated themselves. GGA Flakbus and Nibbles Biscuit are on top of each other right now, but they are on alternate pit stop strategies because Nibbles has already made 2 stops after an accident. Flakbus has only made 1 thus far in the event. And then you have Design, Thunder, and Tony Monkey. But remember, Monkey has already made his 2nd stop. And then you have Design and Thunder. Monkey should be running a little bit ahead of this duo, but we don't know yet if Design or Thunder are doing a 2-stop run or a 3-stop run in today's event, as GGA Roadkill is now going to pit out the 10th position here. What of Dr. Ice? Will we see Dr. Ice pit this time? Interesting thing to consider is that Dr. Ice has been in clean air, but 2nd place PTG Neb, that has not been the case for him. And yes, Dr. Ice comes into the pits. So for PTG Neb, he's going to want to try and close in on Dr. Ice now. But he has to deal with traffic. That is the GT2 driver. Last place of the 3 main GT2 drivers, Kuroshine. Kind of keeping his Aston held up. Here comes Neb. He'll dive to the inside of Kuroshine. Head into the braking zone. Goes deep. Might be missing the braking zone. Kuroshine will come into the pits though. Where is Dr. Ice? Is he coming out of pit lane yet? Dr. Ice is already going down the pit lane front straightaway. Neb rushes up. He'll get the lead back briefly. But you see, Neb comes out. Ice comes out. Ice is out just ahead, but Ice has to get his tires out of icy conditions. Neb is there. They're having side by side, but Neb is the driver with the tire heat advantage. They're going to dive into Al Rouge and Radion once more. Neb has it over Ice. But Neb did not have a good run through the corners, and now Ice is right there behind. Ice does not have his tires at the temperature, but he's going for it. He's going around the outside of PTG Neb. Neb is too slow. Ice will get the position back. He'll have to get onto the brakes early, get heat into the tires, and he does. Dr. Ice on cold tires will get the lead back from PTG Neb. That's some incredible confidence and some incredible skill that Dr. Ice shows there. And they maintain their gap over LMP Aramis. Also, at this stage of the event, Indio Cosmic has now cycled his way up to 4th. Now again, Cosmic is on an alternate pit stop strategy, forced onto that after having 2 accidents earlier. But as Cosmic is on an alternate strategy, we still do not yet know where they are going to end up. Other story to keep an eye on is TNR Larry V. We do not know where his final overall distance finishing result is going to be. He has been going very, very deep into the fuel and tire runs, and there is a significant possibility that Larry could finish top 5 in overall distance in today's event. Next driver that he would have to catch would be this man here, NFL Racer 4812. NFL Racer is likely gonna have to pit in the next few laps as he is having a silently strong run in the Dodge. Now grant, a lot of this has come down to having 2 drivers who are top runners in the GT3 category disconnecting, and then having another one dealing with a pair of accidents. But NFL Racer has been there and been ready to capitalize. He is also the highest driver running of everyone, who I believe is still on a 2-stop strategy right now. I think Larry is going to be on a 3-stop strategy. GGA Flackbus, who is running in the Porsche, we think, though we are not confident, but we think that he is on a 2-stop strategy as well. Thomas 086R, who is right behind him, should be on a 3-stop strategy. Amish Gaming, another driver we've not really talked about here, riding the McLaren, kind of in the mid-pack all day. We believe that he is on a 3-stop strategy. Well, again, we are not 100% sure. And we have Thunder A159, who we are mostly sure is on a 2-stop strategy right now. If we look side by side, Dr. Ice and Neb, those are your GT3 category leaders. And Thunder says, I do not want any part of that. He backs off and gives up position, just right off circuit, so he doesn't end up causing problems for these. And there goes NFL. So NFL pits a little earlier than we thought. So I guess NFL is not on a 2-stop strategy. He may still be on a 3-stop. There is Tony Monkey, and GTA Design runs a little bit farther back. Design is on a 2-stop strategy. They have KSR Elios. This man is a GT2 driver. You have Pindaz, who is running ahead of him, but they are not in the same category right now. Do remember that. All right, so with NFL Racer pitting, this is put Indio Cosmic up to 4th, and TNR Larry V is now overall 5th. Although, again, Larry will likely be pitting at the end of this lap. All right, Air Force, we get it! You vape! So throughout pretty much the entire day, this fight between Dr. Ice and PTG Nev has been the defining battle. But the big thing, Nev has earned well over half a mile more in distance penalties than Dr. Ice. And Aramis, who runs out there in 3rd, might be able to steal 2nd overall from PTG Nev, depending on how their penalties stack up at the end here. Big slide there by Dr. Ice through the Al Rouge and Radion complex, but despite having those big slides, he does a lot better saving the car on the racetrack proper than Neb, who just kind of gives up and lets the car run wide to save itself. Neb putting pressure on Dr. Ice again. It has been Lexus versus Aston Martin for the last, what, I'd say 40 minutes or so. Acura had been walking off with this race for a long time, but all of the Acuras have had problems. The interesting thing, though, is that Nibbles Biscuit, who has been the worst performing Acura over the course of the day, did not have much pace and has had an accident. The overall strength of the Acura looks like it will be enough that Nibbles is likely going to come home with a top 6 finish overall in GT3. Might be a top 7 overall when you factor in Larry V, because Larry is the big wild card of the day's event. But I think Nibbles might get 6th overall, despite by far being the worst performing Acura. So there was definitely merit to all the drivers saying that the BOP was massively favoring Acura in today's event, but I really feel that the Acura has traded off a lot of their performance for handling and stability, and we have seen two Acuras have more accidents than the rest of the field combined in today's event. And that is likely going to be what keeps the Acuras from winning the race outright. It has not been distance penalties, although Cosmic has not been doing himself any favor with the distance penalty he has incurred. He is also over half a mile of distance penalties. But it has not been distance penalties that has been their big problems. It has been their ability to keep their cars on track. And for Hanser and Brucey, who are having a better job keeping their cars on track physically, it was connection issues that have taken them out of the event. So Thunder, KSR Elios, and Dromora all have yet to make their second stop. I think most of the drivers have given up on trying. Well, no, if you want to make 35 minutes to the end of the race and you just got done with the pit stop, you could probably make it work. If you really wanted to. Right on board with BTT Nev. They come up on ZTA Roadkill, who runs in 10th right now. Roadkill's not even going to try. He pulls his Dodge offline and will happily let the meters go. This will leave the team to focus on his overall distance right now. A slack bus in that Porsche has really been pulling out something, minimizing his distance penalties like he has. I'm honestly more than a little impressed. About 35 racing minutes left in the event. Wild card, Larry B. While we know that Larry is not in a position to steal the win or overall podium from Dr. Ice Nev or Aramis, Larry B. is trying to fight with Cosmic, Nibbles Biscuit, and NFL Racer and Thomas. Those drivers are all fighting for what could be fourth overall in distance. A reminder, Larry B. is a GT2 category driver. The GT2 drivers started a third of a lap behind the GT3 drivers. And despite that, Larry B has been absolutely destroying the entire field throughout most of the day. And we look at our GT3 leaders continue to just absolutely get their knives out. Every time, every lap, they have just not stopped fighting at all. Drag race between this two. Side by side, and it looks like Dr. Ice on the outside is just not going to be able to get by. We'll see the two of them now fly down into the Al Rouge and Radion complex. It looks like Nev kept the car under him this time. But you can hear Dr. Ice incurred a little bit more of a distance penalty that time. But he still has a massive advantage in distance penalties. He tries to go around the outside. Nev is going to go deep and try to straight line these corners as much as he can. So for now, Nev leads, trying to force Dr. Ice to have a mistake. He basically needs Dr. Ice to have a big accident to take Ice out of what is basically a near guaranteed win in this event. Look once more now at NDL Cosmic on a radically alternate strategy. He has one more stop left to make. We know that, but we think that is the same as the case for everyone else here. Nibbles Biscuit, who is a little bit farther back, will likely have to make a stop at the end of this lap and just try to make his tires and fuel last another 30 minutes afterwards. He has about half, actually less than half, of the distance penalties of Cosmic. Then you have Thomas, who runs much farther back here. He's got one more pit stop left, we believe. Then you have NFL Racer. We think he has one more stop left, but if he tries, he might be able to go to the end without making any more pits. And then you have TNR Larry B. Larry, we believe, also will have to make one more stop very late in the running here. Once more, though, we look at our 2 leaders in GT3. Actually, before I do that, I want to go ahead and look here at Flak Bus with the last amount of penalties that Dr. Ice has incurred. Now Flak Bus has the second least amount of penalties in GT3 overall, only behind Jamora. All that concerned about the Porsche, but it's not been fast for Flak Bus. I cannot stress enough how impressed I am. Everyone was saying that the Porsche was going to be a nightmare car to drive. Flak Bus has really been making something out of it today. All right. We look at our leaders once more now. Dr. Rice does not have to fight actively with Neb. He can just hang out behind PTZ Neb for the rest of this time, as long as he doesn't stack up a bunch of extra distance penalties. Dr. Rice has the stint all but one. First, third, and fourth are all looking at about 5 or more times the amount of distance penalty. And now Nibbles Biscuit is going to pit with about 29 or about 30 minutes left in the running, so Nibbles Biscuit will have to make this next set of fuel and tires he puts on last to the end of the race. We believe that this trio of Neb, Dr. Ice, and Aramis, that they will all have to pit one more time here sooner rather than later. Probably in about another 10 minutes or so. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and knock out one of Twitch's mandatory ad breaks. We're going to spin a full lap on board with Dr. Ice as we do so. Don't go away, we'll be back shortly here at Spa-Francorchamps for eRacing United's 4-hour Union Derby. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. As time continues to tick away here, Dr. Rice is starting to see the momentum of this race swing in Neb's favor. Dr. Rice is starting to accumulate penalties faster and faster as this race winds down. He still has an overall distance penalty advantage over Neb, but that gap is starting to shrink, and he just does not seem to have the pace to keep up with PTG Neb anymore. This could work in Neb's favor. If Ice pushes too aggressively, too hard, and starts having incidents, Ice could end up wrecking the car or ending a significant amount of penalties, and the race win might, or the stint win might go back in PTG Neb's favor. It's still in Ice's court right now. It would still have to come down to Ice to throw it away, but the momentum does seem to be shifting now as Ice is gradually losing touch with Neb, and he is pushing harder and starting to accrue more and more penalties as this has gone on. In our GT2 category, we know that barring a disconnect, Larry has this one. He has just about set KSR Elios, who is second, 2/3 of a lap down. The question here is, can Larry stay ahead of Nibbles Biscuit, and can Larry potentially steal a top 5 overall in distance? NDL Cosmic runs fourth at the moment, but Cosmic has had 2 accidents and will have to pit at the end of this lap, and that will turn 4th place over to Thomas 086R, who will also likely have to pit. Well, no, Thomas might be able to go to the end without stopping. It would be a little tight. You've only got 25 minutes of racing left. Thomas might be able to go to the end on what he's got right now. And then behind them would be NFL Racer. We're not quite sure if NFL can go to the end or not with what he has, but the big thing is that Larry is running NFL down and running Thomas down with pace. There is a legitimate shot that we could see Larry B overtake NFL Racer and Thomas. And if Larry doesn't have to pit again, Larry could take 5th overall in a GT2. And that would be the most impressive thing in today's event. Once more, we look at our GT3 category leaders. As they dive down into the turn 1 hairpin again. Neb most definitely seems to have the advantage, and look at that, Aramis is closing in on our top 2, slowly but surely. NDL Cosmic now makes his pit stop, as we knew he would. Neb is having his best run of the race now at the very end. Can Cosmic catch Aramis? The answer is no, because Cosmic has just made a pit stop. Aramis, we look at them, they do not have to pit again. Well, Aramis might have to pit again. Aramis may have to pit again, but I don't believe that Cosmic has any serious shot of catching Aramis here. And the spies, Aramis is closing down on Neb and Dr. Ice. The top 3 are all closing down. In fact, everyone is really closing down and seems to be bleeding off time. The only driver in our top 7 who is not bleeding off time is Larry, who is in the GT2 category. But everyone else ahead is gradually bleeding off time now as this event goes on. The other thing I consider is that even if Cosmic catches Aramis, Cosmic has such a massive distance penalty amount built up right now that they would have to catch Aramis and then absolutely blow them away in distance overall. And that's the other thing that could hurt Larry. Larry has way more distance penalty than both NFL Racer and Thomas. In fact, he has more distance penalty than Thomas and NFL combined right now. So that is the other thing to consider. Alright, we anticipate our leaders will be hitting sooner rather than later here. We're looking at about 22 minutes left in the event. When do our top 2 make their stops? They have not done it yet. Again, we are anticipating that for the majority of the field it is a 3-stop affair. Thunder, we know, is on a 2-stop, and we think one of the GTA drivers may be on a 2-stop. But other than that, everyone is looking at this being a 3-stop affair here. The main thing for Dr. Ice is that he's not exactly able to look back and see Aramis. Oh, Neb had a big twitch there, and And here comes Dr. Ice around the outside. And there go our leaders under the braking zone. And yeah, Dr. Ice has got him. For now, these two have not stopped fighting all day long. Neb still has about 4 times, well over 4 times, honestly more than 5 times the amount of distance penalty that Dr. Ice has, though. And that's just going to be the big thing that defines this, more than likely. There's Aramis, their 3rd place driver. Potentially going to steal 2nd from PTG Neb. Look at that gaggle of cars. 5th, 6th, 7th, all on top of each other. On the pit straight here. Right on board with TNR Layer B. That is NFL Racer just ahead, and just ahead of him is Thomas 086R. Again, Larry fighting for what could be a very unexpected top 5 overall. What is that supposed to mean? I'm not sure. Oh, Kuroshine's had an accident. I have not seen that, but yeah, Kuroshine, last of your GT2 drivers, has had an accident. That's going to derail things for them. But anyways, Larry has now eclipsed NFL Racer going down the straightaway. So Larry now has to try and run away from NFL and outrun the distance penalties. Larry has about twice the amount of distance penalties that NFL has at this stage of the race. And he still has to catch Thomas 086R and then do the same to him for Indio Cosmic. Look at their numbers. They do not have to pit for the rest of the event. I believe our top 3 will. Cosmic trying to pull off a Herculean recovery, but he has earned so much distance penalty. He is just about at 2/3 of a mile of distance penalties right now. So while Cosmic's pace has been absolutely incredible, his ability to keep it clean and stay on the track has been very, very lacking. Thunder now makes his 2nd and final stop of the event. Still waiting on KSR Elios to do the same. Dr. Ice and Neb have now both accrued a little bit more penalties. And Neb is doing better and better managing his distance penalties compared to Aramis as this is going on. So Neb might still pull a 2nd place out of this. But Neb does not seem to be interested in just holding back and just bringing home 2nd. Neb and Ice have been knives out the entire time. All right, Thomas now has to deal with TNR Larry B closing in on him. And behind NFL Racer is Nibbles Biscuit. Biscuit is on fresher tires than everyone ahead of him right now, outside of, obviously, Indio Cosmic. And Aramis now pitting out of the 3rd position. So Aramis wants to jump in and put on some fresh tires now a little earlier. And Neb now goes past the 6/10 mile mark, and Cosmic has now passed the 2/3 mile mark in terms of distance penalties. Now, the gap between Aramis and Cosmic should be so big. I don't think that Cosmic has a shot of catching Aramis, and if he did, Aramis has done a better job managing his distance penalties. So I think Cosmic is going to pull off a 4th here, unless he has another accident. Just watching Nibbles as he's trying to close in and make something happen here. to NFL racer in that Dodge just ahead of him. But NFL has a lot less distance penalty, and NFL might clip Nibbles back for overall positioning off of that. Right out the back of Thomas, you can see that GT2 entry from TNR Larrabee as it continues to close it down. We're still anticipating to see our leaders make another stop here sooner rather than later, but it has not happened. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe they overfueled and put medium tires on. Oh, Thomas is just coming in the pits. So Thomas is elected to pit. So Larry now cycles up into fifth. So Larry up into fifth now. Now he still has to outrun the distance penalty he has compared to NFL Racer. But if he can do that, Larry is going to finish fifth overall. Incredible. And PTG Neb has elected to pit earlier than Dr. Ice. So these are going to be a really, really short pit stop. They're going to pit, put small amount of fuel in, fresh softs, and just burn off some fast laps to the end. 15 minutes left in the event. We're going to knock out an ad break. We will be back very shortly here for the conclusion of Stint 1 for eRacing United Spa 4 Hour. Don't go away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. Neb has made a stop earlier than Dr. Ice, and it looks like Neb may not be far enough away from Aramis. Aramis pitted about a lap earlier than Neb, and Aramis can see Neb ahead. Aramis has only about 0.128 miles worth of distance penalties. So that's about, well, less distance penalties than Neb. So Neb basically has to run about, what, 1,000 feet away? Not quite 1,000 feet, but about 1,000 feet would be ideal. And I'm just not seeing that happen. While Neb does have a tire advantage, it's not a massive one. I don't think there's going to be enough time. The other wild card, Dr. Ice, your leader, still has yet to make their final stop. Look at how worn those tires are. He doesn't have a lot of fuel left in the tank either. He is not going to make it. We know he's going to pit again, but why has Dr. Ice, who has been struggling on worn tires, why is he going so much deeper? That is the wild card. With Dr. Ice going so much deeper in the run, it gives a shot for him to lose more and more overall distance. There's one more thing to consider. NDL Cosmic, while he is not close enough to fight for a top 3 result, Cosmic has recovered from 2 big accidents and basically an extra pit stop because of that. It looks like he is going to be 4th overall. And the other wild thing to watch, Nibbles Biscuit has outrun, just for the moment, NFL Racer but has a massive distance penalty. I think NFL could still clip Nibbles for it would be 5th in category. And speaking of 5th, TNR Larry B in the GT2 category continues to run away. There, we are looking at a very high likelihood that Larry, who in the GT2 category starts a third of a lap behind the field, is going to pull off a top 5 in the overall results. Larry has been some other kind of monster today. For comparison, KSR Elios has been about half a lap behind Larry for most of the running. And then Kurlshine has been a lap down to Larry for most of the running as well. Still waiting to see when Dr. Ice will go ahead. And there it is, Dr. Ice is pitting now. So now the focus goes to PTG Neb. Is Neb gonna end up right alongside Dr. Ice again as they come out of pit lane? We are looking at 10.5 minutes of racing left. Unless Dr. Ice has an accident or starts racking up distance penalties fast, we know he is all but guaranteed to win this stint. No one else in the top 6 has less distance penalties than him. But still, Dr. Ice needs to keep it on track and not have an accident and rack up ridiculous penalties. The other wild card is going to be LMP Eras, and Dr. Ice is already out of pit lane, it looks like. Yeah, Dr. Ice is out. He's ahead of Neb. Right on board with Aramis. You can see the top 2 just ahead. The Ice is very much clear of Neb, and GGA Roadkill makes a stop with just 10 minutes left. Aramis continues to close on our lead duo. But now Dr. Ice has a bit of an advantage on Neb in tires and track position. He would not have to worry about his tires falling off again near the end of the run. So Dr. Ice, despite usually being worse later in the runs, pushed this last set of tires really far and actually opened a small gap between himself and PTG Neb by staying out. Neb seems to be slipping backwards into Aramis' clutches, so we could very easily see LMP Aramis take 2nd overall here. Dr. Ice is going to walk away with a massive distance advantage. The other thing to watch, TNR Larry B. Is he going to make another stop? He's got the fuel to stay out for a while, but his tires are hurting. And you look at Nibbles Biscuit behind. Again, they are not legitimately fighting for a position, but this is a fight on pride. Nibbles trying to be a top 5 overall. We know it looks like they are fighting for what could be 5th in GT3, but they want 5th overall. And they have a tire advantage over Larry. Larry's tires are going to be falling off something nasty. You'll have this lap and about 2 more full laps for the majority of the field here. That's Tony Monkey, who cannot keep Nibbles behind. Again, Nibbles was the worst performing Acura thus far. Had an accident earlier and has not had a lot of pace. But the Acura overall has been just good enough of a car that Nibbles is going to pull home in top 5 on pace, it seems. Look at this, the top 3 all sharing a straightaway with each other now. Aramis trying to run down on PTG Neb. And as this goes on, it is looking more and more likely that LMP Aramis is going to steal a 2nd. Well, as I say that, that's likely going to be a distance penalty for a track extension. Yes, it is. And he's still right there. He can be right underneath PTG Neb's rear wing like it looks like he will be. I don't think it's going to matter. Aramis might be able to take 2nd from PTG Neb here. Neb seems to be tiring out and losing pace as this event comes down to the end. Ice is pulling away from Neb here late in the running. So Neb, who has led a bunch of laps today, has been fighting with Dr. Ice all day. It looks like they are all but guaranteed to lose 2nd to Aramis. A reminder, after this is over, there's still one more 2-hour stint that will start shortly after this is over here. We are not done at Spa, not yet. NFL racer is pitted, so NFL could not go to the end. So that is going to derail any shot that NFL had of bringing home a top 5 by trying to get Nibbles. So we are looking at Acura finishing 4th and 5th, which frustrating because they started 1-2, but Acura will get a 4th and 5th place result in the GT3 category, making bronze out of gold medal pace, it seems. Ice has started to really open the gap on Neb and Aramis here. And Aramis is really closed in on Neb. Boy, has this momentum shifted. You have to wonder how much of it is because Aramis knows it's so late in the run and you can run a smaller fuel load. Here comes big dive to the inside of my Mercedes. He leaves the inside open and Neb goes right back by. But the warning shot has been fired. The fight for second position is on. Drag race. Down the hill, Aston versus Mercedes. The Mercedes moves ahead, scoots ahead of Neb. And Aramis goes up into second now. So Aramis, who's been a distant third place most of the day, now moves into second. As Dremora up ahead, Dremora one of only 2 drivers who has not earned any distance penalties over the course of the race. But Dremora has had a host of other issues that have kept him from capitalizing on that. Aramis held up now by Dremora just a little bit. But Neb seems to have completely fallen over. He has lost all pace and just can't capitalize, it would appear. Once more, we look at what is 5th in GT3 and what will be 5th overall, potentially between Nibbles and Larry. The thing is that Larry has much less distance penalty. As long as he can just stay ahead of Nibbles or be right behind, he will easily take 5th overall. But look at those tires. They are just about cooked here. 4 minutes left, so you will finish this lap and get the majority of one more lap afterwards. We are almost done here. When that race timer says 10 minutes left, everyone will stop on track and record their overall distance, and then we will have one more stint to go for. Aramis has just left Neb in the dust. Neb has completely fallen off here at the very end. You have to wonder, has something gone wrong? Did they put the wrong tires on them? Oh no, look at that engine damage! Neb has grenaded his engine! Oh! And that is going to be what it takes to take Neb out of a decent result. We know he was going to be third, but that kind of engine damage is going to derail it, and he can't pit because if he pits, he will fall behind Indio Cosmic. So Neb just has to deal with it. He'll finish this lap and a little bit of another. So LMP Aramis is going to pull off a silently strong second place result here. And VER's Dr. Ice, who has run top 3 most of the day, will likely end up finishing this race leading more laps than everyone else. He's going to pull off the win here in that number 28 Lexus. NFL Racer actually has ended up ahead of Thomas, so NFL Racer will be 6th in GT3, 7th will be Thomas by the looks of it, then 8th will be GGA Flackbus, we imagine, and then Flackbus here in that Porsche, and then it's a big gap back until you get to Amish Gaming, who has been silent but unimpressive. Well, actually, Roadkill is close enough to Amish. Roadkill might clip Amish for that position. Oh, Nibble's gotten by Larry, or they're fighting at least. Larry's cooked his tires. Less than 2 minutes left, and Larry's tires are now way past their expiration date. This is a fight for what would be 5th overall on merit. They are in different categories. Nibbles in the best GT3 car, trying to recover from an accident. Larry, best of the GT2 drivers, started a third of a lap behind. Both of them basically carrying a different kind of ballast. Not true ballast, but what feels like ballast over the course of this run today. Nibbles on the outside, Larry on the inside. Drag race between the two of them. And Nibbles looks like we'll be able to make the overtake around the outside. Yes, Nibbles clears Larry without too much issue. Is Larry close enough to let the distance penalties put cycling back in front, though? That is the wild card question that we do not know yet. Cosmic has just about caught PTG Neb, as Neb's engine has completely fallen over. But with only 45 seconds left, the distance penalties against Cosmic means that even if he catches Neb, he's not going to be able to overtake him in the end. 9th place, DGA Flak Bus. Not quite going to go a lap down. He's actually going to have less distance penalties than Dr. Ice. That's a little bit impressive in that Porsche. But the time is almost up, and it will be VER Dr. Ice capitalizing off of everyone else's misfortunes and inabilities to keep it on track, to keep the cars clean. He is going to bring it home here as the clock ticks away. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Over. Wow. And that will settle it. Dr. Ice will win your first out of 2 stints here at Spa-Francorchamps. And in the end, Larry has fallen way off behind Nibbles, but I think the distance penalties might put Larry back into 5th overall, which would be absolutely ridiculous, to say the least. So we'll be Dr. Ice. 2nd place will easily be LMP Aramis. 3rd place will be PTG Neb. 4th place will be NDL Cosmic. 5th place in GT3 will be Nibbles Biscuit. 6th place will be NFL Racer, who has the least amount of distance penalties of all of the GT drivers outside of Dremora. 7th will be Thomas. 8th will be GGA Flakbus, who will just barely stay on the lead lap. 9th is going to be a little tough, but I think it will end up going to Roadkill once you factor in distance penalties. Then 10th will be Amish Gaming. After that, 11th will be Thunder. Thunder might actually, Thunder should stay there. Then 12th will be Pindaz, as Elios is in GT2. So 12th should be Pindaz. 13th will be Tony Monkey will be 12th. Pindaz will be 13th, actually, because Pindaz has much more distance penalties. Then 14th should be GGA Design. And then 15th and last in GT3 will be SDR Dremora. In GT2, it will very easily go to TNR Larry B, followed by KSR Elios in the Lambo, and then Kuro Shine in the other remaining KTM GT2 car. So we're going to go ahead and take an ad break. And when we come back, we'll see if anyone's going to do interviews, but don't anticipate because a lot of these drivers are double staying. But don't go away. We'll be back shortly here at Spa.